Welcome back to the Psychic Next Door. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to tune in and watch our videos. My goal today and always is to provide you clarity and peace through these spirit-driven messages. Remember, these are just general readings, not one-to-one, so if it doesn't resonate, just leave it behind. I had mentioned this in our July 4th reading that Spirit has been wanting to discuss 2024 throughout our readings these last couple of months. So instead of a July bonus reading, this reading is going to be for the remainder of 2024, all right? And for those of you who have not had the opportunity, please check out the special July 4th reading. It was our very first pick a card message reading, and a lot of incredible information came through for you guys, okay? Now let's get down to business. This reading is for our beautiful Cancer friends, and it will include July through December of 2024. So hold on to your hats for what's coming. So while we shuffle the cards, Spirit wants to highlight one major theme that's been relevant for all signs this month, and that's the theme of self-doubt. There's a lot of self-doubt that has been creeping into our lives, whether it be in the current relationship that you're in, a business partnership, family, friends, and this is even in relation to perhaps relationships at your job. Now, I know typically we draw the Motivational Insight deck card at the end of the reading, but I want to start off with it because this card came through as I was conducting my meditations, okay? If cauliflower can somehow become a pizza, then you, my friend, can accomplish anything. Is that not a fact? I mean, who would have thought in a million years that cauliflower, and I know some of you like cauliflower, so I apologize for saying it the way I did, but seriously, who would have thought cauliflower would have become a pizza, right? The crust of a pizza, and it's pretty decent too. I've tried several because it really helps with the gluten thing, and I have to tell you that if they can pull that off, guess what? We can pull off anything. All right? So I hope that message helps some of you. We're going to draw two more cards from this Moonology deck, and then they're asking us to take the other deck as well and draw two more cards. Let me pull these over for you so we can take a look at them now. The first one is a new romantic cycle begins. Ooh, Cancer. And then we have the end of a tough cycle approaches. Well, that's kind of nice. And I want to share this with you. As these two cards are being highlighted, underneath for me, it's showing me the calendar year of 2024. So it looks as though some of you are currently undergoing this transformation, perhaps leaving a really tough cycle, a really tough 2024. They're showing me that some of you out there have actually experienced the death of a loved one, very, very close to you. So this has been a really trying time for you. I'm sending lots of love and hugs to you all during this time. I know it's certainly not easy to go through something like that, but it looks like that, not that, it's not saying you'll get over it. I don't want you to think that, but you know, there's different stages of grieving. Perhaps that really deep, rough state, you're kind of coming out of it a bit. Doesn't mean you're not going to have sad moments or, you know, you're not going to have some trying times. However, that initial stage, it feels as though, you know, you're hopefully turning a bit of a page from it, okay? It's also in relation to a relationship, okay, for this card. So kind of multiple meanings are coming through for you guys. I'm just going to hold it up in case you can't see it. The end of a tough cycle approaches. A new romantic cycle begins. Some of you are leaving an old relationship that no longer serves you behind. For some of you, you're still going to maintain the current relationship, but you're kind of working through things and kind of taking steps so you can get to the other side, if you will, with this person. So it's not like you're leaving them behind. You're kind of maybe leaving a difficult time that you've had with them behind. And a new cycle starts in your relationship. So that's kind of nice to see it. It doesn't, we don't always have to get rid of the old to make it new. And Spirit wants me to let you know. Sometimes it just, they're showing me someone taking, and Spirit just loves the metaphors, okay? They're showing me an individual taking their vehicle to a mechanic shop for a tune-up. They're referencing that perhaps somebody is taking their actual vehicle to the shop or have been thinking about it, okay? For those of you that have been thinking about it, Spirit wants obviously to perhaps nudge you in that direction to get it done. And for some, and it's oops, too many. For some of you, it's in relation to that relationship, okay? Sometimes relationships need work. They need some fine tuning, right? Sometimes they need a reset. And it looks like that's what's happening here. For some of you, they're also showing me, perhaps you've been dating an individual off and on for a short time. That's just, you're not clicking with them, and it's okay to kind of let that go. So something new and more fitting for you can come through. They're also showing with this card, they're highlighting this card. Not sure if you can see it. I haven't even drawn all the cards, and all the messages are just popping on through. Luck is on your side. It's in relation to this situation. Okay? Perhaps for some of you, you're going to decide. Now, I want to explain luck on your side. I feel that in the message that Spirit is giving us for you, that luck is 20% of this situation. Okay? For example, perhaps your relationship needs a little tweaking, right? And you actually sit down and decide, hey, we're going to do this or that differently, right? And in doing that, you decide, hey, why don't we take a nice long weekend together, a little mini vacation, just a couple of days, a little staycation away from everyone and everything to reset. And you look online and there's a great deal, right? Luck is on your side, perhaps for that deal that comes through. Do you see what I mean by luck? And that was, I really, I can't even come up with, examples like that in my own life. So I really appreciate when Spirit lays it out beautifully for us. But that just was a fantastic example. I couldn't have said that myself any better. But then that's what happens when Spirit runs this show, right? All right, we have one more card here that they wanted us to draw for this deck. It's Work Through Your Fears. Okay. And let's pull two more from this deck. And we're going to go ahead and talk about Work Through Your Fears. So, in regards to the cycle or the relationship in question here, some of you feel as though if you kind of give in to something, or you've held firm for so long on certain topics or certain ways of doing things or being, that you feel like you're kind of cheating yourself by going against those. And what Spirit wants you to know is those are simply your fears talking to you, okay? We have to often get uncomfortable to get past certain things in our lives, get past certain cycles, certain chapters. We have to do things a little bit differently to get to the other side, okay? Very rarely, I'm sure, you doing the same thing over and over, not pivoting, not growing, you stay in what you're in. Things just don't appear to you and just become amazing, right? And that's kind of like what they want to highlight here. Some steps. You have to work through some of your fears, letting go of certain things. So this tough cycle can come to an end. Understand that these things don't occur in your life unless you take steps, right? And that's just how it is. We have to put in the work, if you will, to make things happen. But what's great about your readings is they often show what the other side looks like, right? And sometimes we just need that sparkle, that hope. That you just want that little glimmer of, wow, if I did all this work, could something amazing happen? And these readings and situations often play out to where spirit kind of lets you know, hey, this can happen for you. This is set in your journey if you choose to make those choices, if you choose to make those minor changes to get there. So that's pretty cool. I'm the type of person that I don't know about you guys, but I like to have something tangible. Like, what's the purpose of all this? Like, where am I going here? I need something, right? And Spirit is also wanting you all to have some quiet time, some contemplation, and some meditation. Okay? Allow yourself that time so your intuition can communicate with you. Spirit can communicate with you, all right? In these difficult and tough journeys, all right? And your spirit guides and your family and your friends and all those people on the other side that are rooting for you, all right? Allow your time to allow yourself some quiet, all right? So you can channel what you need. We also drew assess the situation, release control, and they're wanting me to highlight this card big time, and step up and lead. So let's talk about this in the order in which they are highlighting it for us. Release control, okay? In order for you to, I need to make sure I'm in view here. In order for you to get to end this tough cycle, to be done with it, all right, to flip the page, you have to release some control, right? You have to work through some of the fears that you've been having. The what ifs. Oh, well, what if I release control? What happens then? What if I try to make these minor changes and then things just go back to how they were? You have control over that, right? Yourself. You can't control another person, but you can control what you do, right? This card about releasing control is also in relation to another individual in which they're showing me that you're kind of going back and forth with, perhaps kind of having some difficulty with. We're wanting to control that person to a point. We want them to see things our way. We want them to perhaps we want them, and they're showing me a bad habit. Perhaps we want them to stop, perhaps drinking so much, or just doing things that aren't good for them. Remember, you can only control yourself, all right? And at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. If you work on things and things, and at the end of the day, we can only control ourselves. And trying to control the other person, even though you want what's best for them, even though you want the relationship and things to go well and mesh, and just go in that positive direction, you can only control so much, right? They're also letting me know that perhaps you need to pick and choose better times to have conversations, deep conversations with them. Perhaps these conversations are only coming out when shots are being fired verbally, okay? And tensions are high, that all these things come out. Perhaps wait a bit. Wait till things are calm. Everybody is in a bit of a better headspace, right? To then have discussions over the difficulties that we're having in this cycle, okay? Because not only does a new romantic cycle begin, now they are showing me another part of this message that, and it still obviously pertains to everything I've said so far, but the new cycle also is in reference to a parent and child relationship. And it doesn't mean the child has to be a child's age, right? It could be a young adult or whatever. It could even be an older adult. You've been having a really tough time, parent-child relationship. And Unfortunately for many of you, this started way before 2024. They're not just talking about the beginning of this year anymore. The cycle with this relationship, this child, what you want for them and what they're doing doesn't seem to be in alignment for their highest good, right? And they're wanting to highlight this card again with releasing control. You can only provide guidance when they are open to it, when they are asking for it, when the timing is right. And as a parent, it's tough because you want to let them know right away, hey, you could be doing this or that better, or your life could be going in such a much better direction, but you're going in this direction, right? That's so tough for a parent, right? But they're asking you that in this difficult relationship and what you're going through, and they're showing me a tug of war. It's just going back and forth with no resolution and no positive momentum in this relationship. Perhaps you need to take a different approach with your child, with your son or daughter, okay? And the fact is, and this is for the folks, Spirit is wanting me to share this for the folks that have kids that are already of age in their 20s and you see them making not so great choices. Remind them that you are there for them. Even though sometimes you just don't want to be, like you're just like, okay, I'm so done with this. And of course there comes a time, Spirit is just putting a little caveat in there. Sometimes it comes a time where you have to kind of, I don't want to say sever a relationship with your child, okay, because Spirit is not pushing you towards that, but sometimes a little space is needed in order for the child to realize things on their own, okay? Doesn't mean you stop loving them, doesn't mean you stop checking on them, but kind of releasing a little bit so they can kind of travel this road a little bit on their own, so they can perhaps come to their own conclusions for themselves. So a lot of messages for you, my beautiful Cancer friends, in this reading that have come through. It's incredible sometimes. It starts off as a twofold message, and then as the reading goes on, Spirit has a lot, they want to share with you all. All right, let's draw some clarifier for you guys. They are also highlighting, and I want to bring it forward, working through your fears. So it seems as though they want to highlight that card again. So let's just take a look. I think I know where it's coming from. So while I draw the cards, I'm gonna share with you what Spirit has coming through. This card, I want to make sure you guys can see it. It's work through your fears. This is also in relation to the parent-child dynamic they had just mentioned. Some of you have had situations in your own life growing up with your own parents, trials and tribulations that for the love of you, you do not want your child to go through that. And you have done everything in your power to make sure that your child didn't go down that same road you did, didn't have the same type of struggles as you did, right? You want to do things better for them, right? And I totally get that. Looking at it from a bird's eye view now, you think about it, if you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, right? And you have kids in your teens, 20s, and 30s, and you see them kind of going down a path that you did, and you're like, oh, no, that's not the way to go. I can promise you, look what happened to me. This is part of you. We're also working through your fears of having the same repetition, having the same repetition in their life that happened to you, right? They're showing me an individual who had a child at a young age, okay? Or perhaps the father wasn't as involved, or the other parent, let's just say, wasn't as involved. And it looks like maybe someone got some news here that your child is going to be a parent. and it wasn't planned. And there's a bit of you're in a bit of a state of a panic because you're like, oh no, I don't want them to struggle like I did. I don't want them to go through what I did, right? And I don't know if you guys can see this. I just drew the devil. Those fears and internal feelings are coming out big time for you because of a situation that you're currently having with your child. All right. So we're going to draw back here for a minute because they really want to focus on this. Think about, Spirit wants you to think about what can you do differently. If you see your child, okay, going through heartache, right? Struggles, stress, not knowing what to do about a really important situation, right? Something that reminds you of what you went through, right? And you don't want it repeated onto your child. If the situation has already occurred, I don't want to say if the damage has been done, but if the thing has already happened, think about, if you're part of this, what can you do differently that perhaps wasn't done for you? Okay? That while the situation may be similar, the outcome can be different. Get rid of him or her, this feeling. Get rid of, you're wanting to snap judgment. You're wanting to go where you normally go. Okay? Part of you doesn't want to do that to your kid. You're going to have to really work hard for yourself not to go there, not to react like folks reacted towards you, like you maybe want to react out of frustration for the situation that you're in with this parent-child relationship. Okay? You can make a very similar situation have a totally different outcome just by how you react, just by the things you say and by the things you do. Think about this for a second. And this is the sample, the example they want me to share. Let's say you got pregnant at an early age and it wasn't planned. And your parents lost their you know what. Oh my God, how could you do this? Blah, 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 blah. And while they were loving to the child, they still gave you a very hard time about it. Even after the fact, even after the decision was made, beautiful baby came out of it. Now you couldn't be happier and so thankful, right? But that process was hell for you, okay? It wasn't pleasant. In addition to the sleepless nights and the working and having to do all that while raising a little one, the support wasn't there that could have made this a more beautiful, process. Whatever this situation you're going through with your child, try and allow yourself to do things differently than they were done for you. Work through your fears, okay? Work through your fears, all right? This tough cycle that you all have entered, all right, or that has approached in your life, or you have been dealing with, just think of try and see it from a different perspective and point of view and try to do things a little bit differently. Now, your child has made this decision, so you are limited. It is their decision, right? And you want to make sure you don't take over because, of course, you want to protect your child, etc., from whatever the situation is that they're going through. But you also want to put a little distance. They need to realize that, in fact, whatever this decision is that they made, it is their decision. And they have to learn their own lessons from it as well. So there are a lot of options that could be coming your way here in the next part of this year. All right. We're going to use this situation, but I think you can all kind of relate it to whatever you're going through. Perhaps you want your child to move back in with you while they're pregnant, and so you can care for them and just watch them every day. Is that the best solution? Is that the best option for them? Okay. Remember, in whatever journey that your child is going through, if you try and kind of keep them in this bubble and try to do every single thing for them, and some people are like that, understand that there's not a whole lot of lessons to be learned there other than mom and dad, or your parents, or mom and mom, or whatever, are going to always get us out of the situation that we're in, right? So while you're standing in your power, allow your child to stand in their power. Allow them to realize, hey, I've made X decision, okay? Perhaps some of them want to take a job, that's far from home, and they've never been away from home. They've never been on their own, even as a young adult, and you're kind of worried about that. Allow them to learn their lesson. They may go out there and kill it. They may do great. They may thrive like you have never seen them thrive because they're in that kind of a situation. Okay? Some parents want to go behind them and, some parents want to go with them, and live by them. Let them be. Let them create their own life, their own destiny. Okay? That's what we were all made for. You're still going to see your child. All right? So this is the final piece of 2026. And now I want you to know that I'm fully aware that we're in 2024, and I've corrected myself to say 2024 3 times, but the fact is, Spirit wants me to say the year 2026. Okay? So perhaps this current situation hasn't occurred yet. Perhaps you're in the midst of it. And they want you to know that by 2026 for some of you, because the road may be long for some. For some, this won't happen until 2026. But for the collective, by that year, you'll be in a much healthier and happier place. Not only with yourself, but the relationships around you. So that's nice to know. Happier times are coming. Even though we drew that cauliflower card, I'm still going to draw a final motivational insight deck card for you guys because I feel this is a beautiful way to end a reading, and it's just a nice way to end our time together. Okay? Your final message is: failure is the condiment that gives success its flavor. Boy, don't we learn from our mistakes more than we learn from our successes, right? You guys have a great rest of your month, and we'll talk soon.